time to abandon ship.
Oh no!
Here we go!
Can I persuade you to join us for a drink? It's a tradition.
Here, here.
Jar Jar, homie, my main man, quickly. Before the Separatists attack, get into the escape pod.
Hey! This is escape, then we're the pod.
Welcome back to Star Wars Escape Pod and our first episode for the Andor After Show Season 2. And we're going over episodes 1, 2, and 3, which is the first story arc from Andor Season 2, the Mina Rao wedding story arc. So we're going to be diving into that with Blake, Dan, Kirk, Shauna, and Darian, who is joining us over the holocoms, the comm links. Yeah, we're just gonna have a good time breaking that down. So, it's full spoilers ahead for everything that is coming your way. Just a fair warning there. All right, let's get into it.
Another happy landing.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back, Blake.
Are you that there, Cassian Andor?
Meese I am.
Sorry, man, I couldn't let it slide.
Didn't know how to respond to that. Also, welcome back, Kirk. Hello there.
Hello there.
Joining us from down under. And welcome back, Dan. Hello, Dan.
Hello, hello.
Hello. And we got Shauna with us. Hello, Shauna.
Hello there.
Hello. And we also have Darian joining us on the comlink. So welcome back, Darian.
Fire and blood.
Through fire and blood, was it?
Through fire and blood.
Fire and blood.
That's right.
That's right. All righty. So this is an exciting week because we get to start up our Andor after show once more. And unlike the first season, this show has like every week we're going to be getting 3 episodes. So this is only going to last a month. So we only have
so fast.
It's crazy, right? Oh, so we got 4
we waited
parts.
3 years for this. I didn't realize it'd been that long.
Yeah.
I looked, Disney Plus said 2022. I was like, what?
Yeah, it's nuts, right? But yeah, we're gonna whip through this pretty fast because I guess that only makes 4 weeks of the podcast for Andor, and then it's done, like done.
I'd rather them spread it out. If I'm honest. I feel like
I mean, I
want a marathon, not a sprint.
I don't know about you guys, but I kind of enjoyed the story arc aspect of it because it just really like completes it every week for me, and
you get the whole thing at once.
Yeah, and also the way that they're kind of spacing out the show is every arc is supposed to represent something that happened in like a year, not like a whole year of time, but like it's like, okay, this story arc happened like 4 years before Battle of Yavin. And then the next week's episodes is going to be 3 years before Battle of Yavin. So we kind of like, they've picked a few like spots through those 4 years and they've placed these story arcs kind of accordingly.
Oh, so each arc is going to be a big time jump?
I think that's what they were saying. Yeah.
From what I read,
1 year each.
Each 3 episodes is 1 year
I
up
don't
into
like
the Battle of Yavin.
Like each story arc, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Okay. So I guess what we're gonna see is like a very, I guess a very consistent bridge to Rogue One, right? Like in that.
Yeah, but if you're gonna have intimate stories like seeing the bad people couple meet his mom, I feel like that's you could jump to a year later.
Yeah.
So much would change.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that's why they're, I trust that the 4 stories that they've picked will be placed, in the most critical moments that we need to know about, right? I'm hoping.
Right. This makes more sense to why they're dropping them 3 at a time, though.
Mm.
Or else it'd be very confusing with those time jumps.
Yeah, it's also worth noting that a lot of stuff happened in the Star Wars Rebels animated show, and there's a lot of story threads that happened there with people like Saw Gerrera and
Right.
Mon Mothma, right? And it's like
Cassie never showed up.
And Cassian never showed up, right? And so, you kind of have to put the pieces together and go, okay, well, if that whole animated series takes place over 4 years, then in the same exact time period, literally, like parallel with Andor season 2, then, we have to try and make it work so that Andor fits in with all of that. And I think it's easiest for them to do that if they take a story arc here and kind of plunk it down there, take a story arc here, plunk it down there, and kind of make it work with the gaps between the animated show and how they've told that story of these rebel cells coming together at the first Battle of Lothal, right? Was it, right? Again, in the end of the season 1?
Yeah, it was, because that's when I had to leave the planet.
Yeah. So it makes me wonder if maybe we're going to get references to that in the next story arc. I'm kind of jumping ahead there with that speculation, but I don't know, interesting things to think about. So
Think of the cameos.
Think of the cameos. Zeb. We're going to get Zeb?
He was in the trailer, wasn't he?
No.
I don't know.
It's Mando and Grogu.
Oh, right.
All right. First one is called 1 Year Later, directed by Ariel Kleeman, written by Tony Gilroy. All these episodes are written by Tony Gilroy, actually, the first 3 of the series. Original release was April 22nd, 2025. That goes for the following 2 episodes as well. And the description reads, 1 year after the Ferrex uprising, Cassian impersonates an Imperial test pilot in order to steal a prototype of the new Imperial ship, the TIE Avenger. When he attempts delivery on a jungle planet, he is ambushed by a rogue band of squabbling, is it guerrillas? Like the military term? How's that pronounced?
Yes.
Okay,
That's
all right.
right.
Gorillas.
Sounds so weird. Squabbling gorillas.
Screeching.
Apes, together, strong!
That's right. Hail Caesar.
The Maya Pay Brigade is what they're called. On the agricultural planet Mina Rao, Bix, Brasso, Willman, and B2 EMO fear detection by the Empire while in the undocumented employment of a local farmer. On Chandrila, Mon Mothma prepares for her daughter's arranged marriage, but is informed by Tay Kolma that his financial investments have turned sour as a result of their dealings, and implies he is considering selling her out to the Empire. Vel Sartha asks Luthen for information regarding the whereabouts of her partner and fellow rebel Cinta Kaz, but he claims to have no knowledge. Orson Krennic oversees a secret meeting of Imperial officers chosen by himself about forcibly mining the resources of the planet Gorman due to its heavy concentration of a rare mineral, an initiative to which Dedra Miro is reluctantly assigned. The conflict between the Maya Pay insurgents reaches the boiling point, and several members are shot and killed as Cassian is taken hostage. Yeah, that was the first episode. Things left on a bit of a cliffhanger, and fight broke out in the forest. So maybe we'll start with you, Dan. What did your initial impressions of the episode? What did you think about this one?
I'm so happy to be back into Andor. It's one of my favorite series of Star Wars, and I enjoyed it. It's it's a lot of setup because you're like getting back to these characters after where season 1 left off, so you're kind of left like trying to figure out like where everybody is and stuff. But I enjoyed it.
Yeah, nice. All right. Shauna.
Yeah, I wasn't sure exactly where we were going to end up. I was somewhat surprised, but I also had forgotten that the wedding was going to be taking place soon, and so it was kind of interesting to see that take place over 3 episodes. And it was cool to see just how into the rebellion Andor is now at this point.
Nice. Darian, what about you?
I enjoyed it so far. I think I was expecting a slow start, but I was surprised by how much of what I was expecting to happen in the season happened in the first 3 episodes.
Yeah. Right. I think a lot of the trailer was filled with like this first 3 episode footage, you know. I think I kind of like that too. Though. It leaves the rest of it a lot more mysterious, you know what I mean?
Yep, I agree with that.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, Blake, what about you? What did you think about this?
I think there's a lot of good stuff that I did really enjoy. I am actually a pretty big fan of this new TIE fighter. Thought it was pretty badass, and I'm hoping to make a Lego one.
Yeah, the Avenger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it got me wondering how it stands compared to the TIE Defender, which was the other secret project,
right,
by Thrawn.
Yeah, I do wonder that. Yeah. What is that, Darian?
It doesn't follow the canon TIE Avenger. It's not that far out. The armaments are much more powerful. But so the canon, or I guess it's not really canon anymore, the traditional Legends Avenger doesn't have that much firepower, but it has shields, it has a hyperdrive, all the other accoutrements they put in this. So they just really racked up the amount of damage that this thing can do. That's the only real difference that I've noticed so far.
Mm.
Did this one have shields, did you see? Or was it just regular TIE plating? Because we only see it
He was bouncing off the canyon walls all over the place, and they were hitting him with the TIE Advanced. There's no way he didn't have some kind of shielding.
Yeah, good point.
Kirk, what did you think about this intro?
Echoing somewhat what someone else said. I think it may have been Dan, but I'm so glad to be back in Andor. The opening scene as the TIE was just escaping had me grinning. What do they say? It smiled from cheek to cheek, I guess.
Yeah.
It was great. I really loved it. Just like the sound design, just as like the TIE or the room kind of lit up in a certain way, you could just tell like this is a whole other level of production value that they're putting into this, which I'm so glad for. Starting off with the Mon Mothma, that massive like one shot that they did on Chandrila too. I was really liking where the story started out, and it made me miss this kind of it's been like 3 years now since season 1. So yeah, it's a really good start to the season, and I loved the opening part and thought the squabbling on the planet where Andor or Cassian arrived at. I thought the squabbling reminded me of Lord of the Flies for some reason. I don't know. It was just it was kind of like that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
I was surprised to find out they'd only been there 2 days because they look so awful.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you'd be hungry, but you wouldn't look that disheveled.
Yeah, but you don't know what they're... Go ahead, Kirk.
No, sorry, go for it, mate. You were good.
You don't know what they were living like before those 2 days, just because they've run out of food since they've been on their own and stuff. Like you saw how Saul Guerrera's troops lived frequently. They had everything they needed, but they were not living well. These guys seem like they're more ramshackle than Saul Guerrera. At least Saul Guerrera is a leader, and they've got their pecking order figured out. These guys clearly do not.
Mm-hmm.
Yep, that's true. But it sounds like they just kind of got ditched there, so their leader kind of bailed. Or one of their leaders died, the one that Cassian knew.
Yeah. Did either of you guys play? And I'm kind of directing this question at Dan and Darian because they're the older ones here. A 1994 game called TIE Fighter.
I did not know.
It was released on PC and Mac. Yeah, okay. So Dan, you played it. So that was the first Avenger. That was the first appearance of the TIE Avenger.
It was actually in there.
Yeah, it is. It's I guess it's one of the playable ships that you can play as in the game. But so that's kind of cool. It's a legend story now, but I feel like those old X-wing and TIE Fighter, they're pretty well respected. Yeah, I think you can to this day, like they republish them on Steam, like you can pick them up and play them. But very very few times has the Avenger like shown up in almost anything, right? So it was a welcome sight to see them introducing it into the canon like this. And I as soon as I saw like, oh, we're on Sinar, I was like, oh, that's awesome, you know, because like I feel like it's one of those like places you hear about all the time in Star Wars stories, like where all these, you know, ships are like manufactured. It's like, oh, this is like the Sinar systems like designed this and that, right?
Because we were kind of left thinking it was just all in Corellia.
Yeah, but no, it was cool to see like you know, planet like Sinar and like the Sinar system. So that was really neat. And Gorman was referenced, of course, in this episode as well. Another like nice little Easter egg, because Gorman was referenced in a Star Wars Rebels episode called Secret Cargo. It was also referenced in season 1 of Andor in a few different episodes, one of them being an indirect mention in Aldhani and the Eye. So in that Aldhani arc, they mentioned Gorman in there. So, you know, it's kind of neat to see them continuing that story. I think like some of the things that they set up in season 1, as far as like, you know, where they're going to go, you know, sort of laid the foundation for.
Because that's the name of the planet with the German peoples, basically.
Yeah, where all those spiders are making the silk,
okay,
right? Yeah. So yeah, that's where they want the, you know, the element that they need to coat the lenses of the Death Star laser. So yeah, I thought that was kind of cool.
There's 2 other Easter eggs I noticed, so I'm curious if you spotted them too.
Do tell.
So the password to open the bay doors, get the TIE fighter out for that day was Caffrine.
Yeah.
So the ring of
Caffrine. Ring of Caffrine. Yeah.
And the other one, which I thought was very funny and a little tongue in cheek, is when Krennic says, with the Emperor's quest to find unlimited power.
Yeah.
That one had me laughing pretty hard.
Yeah.
You know, I thought that whole time that the passcode was Kathleen. I thought that was the reference.
I kind of wish it was now.
That's what I heard.
Just a self-insert. That'd be so funny.
Maybe that was just her way of maxing it. You know?
Maybe that's it.
Like, it's like, if you mispronounce it, it's going to sound just like that.
That's true. Maybe that was the Easter egg all along.
Maybe that was the direction. He's like, okay, and the script is Caffrine, but can you slide a little L in there just so that people don't really know? Like,
right? Yeah, just hide a little bit.
Yeah, so people can interpret it both ways.
Yeah, this whole time I kept it to myself because I wasn't sure if that was actually that. I didn't watch it with subtitles on, so I'm glad we've clarified that.
Yeah, that's funny.
I might call it that from now on anyway, though.
Yeah. Oh, that's good. Something about this episode that stuck out to me, you know, because I really enjoyed this one, of course, but was what I think somebody mentioned here, you know, was it you, Dan? I forget the you know, the children's book. What's it called? The Lord of the Flies. If that is children's book.
That was Kirk.
That was Kirk.
Okay, yeah, Kirk. Yeah, you mentioned Lord of the Flies, and I was like, man, that's such a great, like, you know, comparison, because that's exactly the kind of thing that I was thinking, like when that was unfolding in front of Cassian Andor, you know, like this whole situation of like, hey, like so and so took off, like who's in charge, right? And it's just like a big squabble of like, you know. It's kind of crazy, because when you think about it, a lot of these rebel cells, like they could have been that way too, right?
Squabbling
like,
between each other.
Somehow all these like, you know, sketchy friggin' people came together and they made
anti-government people, basically.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, like it's amazing that we're watching the story unfold in a different lens than the very child-friendly Star Wars Rebels show, but you know, it's telling the same story of like how these rebel cells kind of make this alliance, right? Like, why is it called the Alliance? You know?
That I love that they're showing us now what they told us last season with Saul Guerrero flat out said, separatist, anti-government, blah, blah, blah. Like, he goes to that speech and he's like, all of them are lost. Now we're seeing that. It's not just the shiny rebellion that we're used to.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
so I think that it also speaks to like the like they may have like a unified thing they're fighting for, but how they get there is different for each one of them. And Saw Gerrera in particular is like one of like the extreme versions of like a rebellion versus what we see in like the movies and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I think right now is a lot of infighting just because they're not even aware of the other cells most of the time.
Right. Yeah, because like they had that discussion at the beginning where he clued in. He's like, wait a minute, like we're on the same side here,
Right.
like and then the other guys didn't believe him.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So it's like, wow, like when you operate on that level of secrecy, it's like you're bound to run into a few sketchy situations, right? And and everyone's so paranoid because
too.
they're all just on the edge of like, they're committing treason, right? Like super, like they could be executed, they could be shot and killed for whatever they're doing. And it's like, dang, like, I mean, we can't trust anybody except like the people here, right? And then all of a sudden someone takes off with their ship and abandons them. It's like, oh, we can't even trust each other, like, and now who's in charge? Oh shoot, It's like it gets worse and worse and worse, and you start getting this buildup of paranoia. So I saw some criticism online for this particular story plot in season 2, how it kicked off with this thing in the woods, and I was like, maybe that's just the minority out there feeling this way.
Because I had an issue with this, so I want to see if it's the same thing.
Okay, all right. Well, okay. I forget the details of it, but in short, I guess there were people out there that felt that it wasn't a very great story to tell. That it was just like a semi waste of time, and I thought it was actually really great because like it just kind of gives you the picture of like, what are all these rebel cells. How do they operate? Like, who's in charge? Like, how do they feel, right? As they're working with other saboteurs, thieves, murderers that are potentially, kind of like
informants or whatever.
Yeah. Like, I mean, Saw Gerrera's guys are like, they don't care if they murder innocent people while they're doing their job, right? Like, there could be people like that out there, right? It's not everyone's the good guy. And I think they kind of gave that impression in Rogue One when Andor kind of has his little moment with Jyn, as they all decide, what, screw it, like let's go to Scarif, right? I mean, this is the dirt of that story. Like, this is the terrible things that those people have done that have, if they've lived through it, have eventually got to where they get in the Alliance, but it's like it wasn't a clean path to get there.
No, for sure. I totally agree with that. And now that you've actually brought that up, you could already see the dirt and just I'm going to call it sewage that Cassian had to wade through before we see him in the beginning of Rogue One, where he just like completely heartlessly kills that guy because he just doesn't want to deal with the problem, and he doesn't have the time. So
yeah. It's like, okay, you're a liability. If you get captured, it's over for us. So, boom.
For me, that whole arc was just a statement piece to kind of show like what Cassian's able to do, and like he's able to coerce them and get them to work against each other in order for him to escape as well. So for me, it's just a much part of what you're saying, Josh, alongside like showing what Andor is capable of in terms of like manipulating people, but also like motivating people as well. Kind of transforming him from that, from the person that's not necessarily a scavenger, but like a lone survivor to like a leader of a rebellion type of person. Which we saw a bit in the prison arc too. So I really enjoyed this arc here, just from that perspective.
Yeah, I did too.
Also, it really justifies why Luthien is so close to the chest with his people compared to like trying to bring people together.
Totally. Yeah. It showcases, it's like why so-and-so can't know about these people or those group, cause like, then there's loose ends, right? Like if somebody slips up, if someone messes up or gets captured or whatever, they at all costs, if they get tortured for information, they literally don't have the information that the Empire would need to put together the pieces that this is a singular body of rebellion, and it's not until they eventually form that alliance that and make their public, coming out of the shadows and making their public recognition that until that point comes, this is just going to be one of those things that nobody can know what everyone else is doing. So, we got to work in secrecy, kind of thing. So yeah, let's. Anyone else have anything to say on this episode? We should move on to the next one.
It ended very abruptly.
It did, yeah. Very cliffhanger.
But
true.
Very good that we had another one to put it in.
Two things, I guess. So, firstly, the one thing that I had to watch it like 2 or 3 times before I could even figure out the basis of what was going on because I didn't think it was delivered very well. When the rebels are trying to figure out what to do, and Cassian is with just the one guard, and then he kind of missed, I guess, what they're talking about a little bit, and then it cuts to Cassian talking to them, and then saying like, "Oh, that guy, be careful who you trust," whatever. And then that's kind of what erupts everything. I didn't think the lead up to them having the split was very good.
Really?
I found it quite confusing at first because I don't think they didn't share that guy betraying them or talking to Cassian very, very well.
Did anyone else catch on to that, or is that? I'm just wondering. Is that like a larger opinion?
Well, I have to get you
I
to
don't
explain
really
that
follow-
again. I'm trying to catch on.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't really get what you meant either.
So it's when Cassian is being held hostage and the one guy is looking after him or guarding him while the rest of the rebels are trying to decide what to do, if they had to force him to teach their pilot to fly the TIE. And Cassian is talking to the guard, and it's when he's telling him that, "Oh, we could just leave together."
Mm-hmm.
And then he says something, the guard says something to Cassian. That's when he starts to figure out that they know the same people.
Yeah.
And he goes and talks to the rest of the rebels, and then they're like, how do you know that, whatever? Then he said you shouldn't be careful who you trust, referring to the guy guarding him.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. This whole thing, I don't think it was portrayed very well. It's very confusing.
Well, he's
And then
trying
it
to
just blew up.
stir them up. Like Andor's trying to like,
Yeah.
he's trying to make something and a conflict happen between them, right? Because
No, I
he
get
realizes
that.
he's not getting
Yeah,
out
but-
of this.
He already saw that there was a conflict there before, because before he talks to that guard, the guard is looking down at his feet and then up and like looks like he's going to rabbit, right?
Yeah.
So he's picked up already that they've already had a fight before he showed up amongst themselves. And they talk about how a couple of people just abandoned the fight and ran away, leaving other people to die. So that's why they're already at each other's throats.
Right. Yeah. So he's like picked up on that, and he's just kind of like trying to fuel it a bit.
During the plot.
Okay, that
Yeah.
makes more sense, I guess. Maybe
Yeah,
I
I mean, like,
missed
I
the
guess-
nuance of telling that part.
Well, I got kind of confused on that too. Now that I think about it, it's like, yeah, it was unsure whether he actually was just trying to confuse them or like make them think that he knew the same person, or if he actually just is like yeah, if he actually knew the person.
Well,
So-
if you watch, he's watching how they're moving and what they're doing with their hands and stuff through that whole episode, and he's learning about them as they think that they've got control of the situation. They clearly don't. He's watching more and more and like testing different people at different times. And then in the second episode, he's like, "Hey, you need to get a tarp and collect this water because who knows how long it's going to be here." So now he's trying to be the friendly guy because he has seen that trying to pit them against each other is only going to get everybody killed.
Mm-hmm.
Man, that's a whole level of nuance I did not pick up on.
That makes more sense.
Sorry, I deep dive into a lot of this stuff because I love body language and stuff. And Andor really, really pushes the subtext. Like, you could actually go frame by frame and learn stuff about this, what everybody's doing in the show.
Man, that's crazy.
All right.
Well-
Your second one?
Yeah, I just have one other thing because I think it's worth talking about. We're going to get into it more, I'm sure, later. But with that German-inspired plan was Gorn?
The planet?
Yeah.
Yeah, Gorman.
Gorman, thank you. I thought it was worth us chatting at least briefly about the fact that we're kind of seeing the first stage of the Empire like planting their own rebel cell just to like stage essentially like terrorists.
Right,
And
yeah.
then frame the rebels with that is probably what's going to happen.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. I mean, it's an interesting plot line because, of course, they would want to turn public opinion against these rebels, right?
Yeah,
Or
exactly.
just in general rebel activity, because then it'll deter anyone from trying to help them out, right? Even more so. So,
Yeah, that was very interesting. It's definitely, it's something I could see the Empire doing, but it's much darker than we've ever seen on screen.
Yeah. Yeah. You can see Dedra's reluctance as well with that whole thing, right? Like she just kind of spits out the plan. And she's like, okay, well, this is what you got to do. And then she walks away. And she's like, she's not happy about the fact that she's there. And she's like, you know, aiding with this thing. I don't really know. I mean, like, yeah. I mean, I guess it's part of the next episode thing. I don't really know why she doesn't want to be part of it, to be honest. I know she kind of did talk about why, but sort of. But yeah, I don't know.
Well, hey, speaking of that scene, did anyone else kind of get like hit as bunker vibes from that whole situation?
Yeah, I could see that with his kind of all his
100%.
closest people together making these
In the
manipulative plans. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, they're also like controlling the media in a sense, right? Like quotations. With those two guys who basically like control how people see different things.
Propagandists, yeah.
Yeah, very much that. So it's like it's a very interesting political standpoint to bring up, especially at this time, or what the times that we're seeing right now. So I don't know if that's a on purpose political statement or if that's just them trying to implement it because that's just the way that the Empire works.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's very interesting.
Yeah, very definitely.
Like false flags and propaganda and stuff.
Yeah. All right.
Before they even start doing the thing that they have to cover up, they've already planned out how they're going to deal with it.
Yep, exactly. I also don't think I've ever watched a show, let alone Star Wars, where they're actually planning that ahead of time. Sometimes you reveal afterwards, like similar to like I'm talking in like shows, but kind of themed after, almost like what Hitler did with like the burning in Germany and stuff with the brown shirts.
Alrighty, let's start up this second one here. Okay, so this one's called Sagrona Tima. It was directed by Ariel Kleeman as well. Also written by Tony Gilroy. Came out the same day, April 22nd. On the jungle planet, Cassian is held prisoner while the conflict amongst the Maya Pei Brigade worsens and the group splits into two factions at a stalemate. On Mina Rao, Imperial officers arrive to audit all the workers' papers as Bix, Brasso, and Will arrange to move to a different part of the planet to avoid discovery. On Coruscant, Dedra and Cyril, who are now living together as a couple, prepare for a social event they've been putting off. As the preparations for Alita's wedding conclude, Mon Mothma discusses the possibility of Tay Kolma's defection with Luthen, who says they should attempt to ascertain Kolma's price for keeping silent about the rebellion. Cassian slips away from his captors when they become distracted with a territorial challenge and flees the planet, which is at the very last few frames revealed to be Yavin 4 in the stolen TIE Avenger. So that was a great Easter egg at the very, very end there. It's like, oh man, that's awesome. You know, direct feed into the where the rebel sets up. And
I think it was more than an Easter egg, just because they also included it in the beginning of the next episode as a recap. So I think,
yeah,
I don't know.
I wonder if those guys will still
it feels
be there.
important.
I wonder if when the Alliance finally comes, like, oh man, look at these temples. Like, you know, let's just set up here.
They just built the whole
There's
thing
like
already.
Just some hobos in the woods, like, wow, there's people. What?
Right?
It's like, yeah, we used to work with you guys.
Also, if you're gonna dump people on like some random moon, wouldn't you want to put them near the buildings?
Yeah,
just in the middle of the forest.
Yeah, it's weird, right? I don't know. It's cool though. It's cool to see it's Yavin 4.
In the EU, those temples are actually old Sith temples, and they're believed to be like haunted and have creatures of the dark side floating around them. That's probably why they're avoiding them.
Yeah, the Massas.
Oh, maybe.
What is it? Massassi temples?
Molasses?
I don't remember, but that's my theory on what's hunting them in this episode.
Yeah. Like, you mean those big creatures?
Those like rhino things?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They seem pretty dark side to me.
Well,
it reminded me of that horned creature from Attack of the Clones, the rhino thing.
Right.
From the arena.
In Legends, the Massassi are Massassi, I think it is, are like these red creatures they almost look like you took like an ancient Sith species, like a humanoid Sith, and then just made them a mutated like ape creature thing. Like that's what they look like.
Interesting.
So
Okay.
like I don't think, unless they change it for canon, because I know they did that with the Krayt Dragon, right? So I mean,
Yeah.
like they could totally change it and like make it work and call them the Massassi, and but I feel like the Massassi temples were it looks like they were made and designed by something a little more intelligent than just like a rhino beast.
Right.
So,
Yeah. No, for sure.
yeah. But no doubt, there's definitely like some pretty ruthless animals living in those woods. No doubt.
Maybe there'll be a horror arc where Cassian has to be a ghost hunter in the temple.
Yeah. Yeah. So this episode was pretty interesting. It was very much the bridge between the episodes. Lots of tension build up between the situation on Mina Rao and of course everything going on with the wedding. But Andor gets away. That whole thing unfolds. I loved how he knew that there was a blaster in that drawer. In the ship that he was like being held in.
Yeah, how did you figure that out? You just kind of assumed it?
Well, did he plant that
was
there?
his blaster.
Yeah, because he was there, right? Like he.
I think that was his, yeah, or because the ship
That's
that
his from the
was
first
torn
season.
apart was his buddy's ship, right? The guy he
Right.
was supposed to meet.
Yeah. Like, well, his buddy was gone, but I think because he was there 3 days ago, he said to those guys that's why he knew they were crashed there 2 days ago, because he said, I was here 3 days ago, right? Like when.
Could you imagine? I'm just thinking this now. Can you imagine you have a meetup? There's a giant moon. You meet up in the exact same spot where these people get dumped off at random.
Yeah, it's a crazy coincidence, right?
Yeah, there's an entire moon-sized planet.
Oh man.
Yeah, he couldn't go into the Imperial base with that blaster though, because that blaster is a felony just having it.
Right. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah, so that was cool how he kind of, he just pulled his little trick and got out of things, right? So that was neat. I don't know. Dan, what'd you like about this episode? Anything stick out to you?
I thought them doing a little rock, paper, scissors to determine who was going to be the leader was pretty funny. It just shows you like how immature these guys were. And Cassian's just like, oh man, this is who I'm dealing with.
Yeah.
And then
this is a weird connection, but I thought I was reminded, or I felt like that scene reminded me of in The Big Bang Theory, where they do rock, paper, scissors, lizard, Spock. That's what I thought that's what I thought they were doing. It reminded me of that.
Yeah, that's good.
Totally.
What's the point of the seconds? Just to hold the timing? Did you guys figure that out? I was trying to figure out why there's 4 of them.
I think they were just trying to set it up that it's like the old-fashioned rapier duels, that like you always have a second in case you're too injured to go on, but nobody's died yet.
I did not know
and they would
that.
bring you the gun and stuff. Like,
Yeah, make sure that everything's honorable and above board.
The game's called If 5 Hands, right? I think they called it 5 Hands.
oh, so
I
you
completely
got
missed
4
the
people
name.
in case the fifth one. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, I found the name for that creature in the forest. It is called the Yavinian Dudar.
All the Dudar Day.
Yeah, the Dudar. It's
How
it's named after its designer Alexander Dudar, spelled differently. Yeah. Anyways, kind of funny.
I also really liked, I like seeing the farming. Like, here's a planet where they have to grow all this wheat. Like, because you have all these people in the galaxy that you have to feed and stuff. So it was cool seeing, like, the one thing I always like about Andor is it shows like the common people. Like, it's showing everyday life, and you're seeing this, and especially the way they're relating it to undocumented workers, and you can get really political with current day stuff with that, but it's just neat seeing it in the setting of Star Wars.
Yeah,
so true.
There's a fun fact about this. So the fields of Mina Rao were an ancient rye planted specifically for Andor season 2 in Oxfordshire, when where they were filming the show for this scene. It took a full year to grow this particular rye, and then due to SAG-AFTRA strikes in 2023, the crop had to be harvested, placed in sheets of polystyrene by the Greens team, allowing the outdoor location sets to be reconstructed on Pinewood 007 stage in early 2024. But it was like,
yeah, it looked like a stage to me.
Yeah,
in there,
but they did grow all this stuff like to film.
So
on
does that
set.
mean originally they meant to film on location, but
Yeah.
they couldn't?
Yeah.
Oh shoot, that's too bad. Because there's a few scenes. They're definitely in the volume. So
I felt like the scene at the dinner table where they were all eating together, like that felt like it was like on a stage, but the rest of it, I thought it was indistinguishable. It felt like it was out on a field, and that story you just said there reminds me of how Interstellar, how like they also planted those crops. So it's pretty cool that they're doing that.
Yeah, it's neat. Yeah. All right, so let's see. I don't know, Kirk. What stuck out to you about this episode?
I think that everyone's pretty much said everything. I honestly, the episodes are kind of blending together for me. I thought the rock paper scissors thing and Andor's escape happened in the third episode, but obviously my timing's a little bit off. But one thing I remember when we were looking through the trailer a few weeks ago or a month or so ago was that I thought that this wheat farm was going to be on Ferrix. That's what my initial thing was, but it's interesting that that they're on a different planet they're now, and they're constantly escaping. That's right, isn't it? It's not on Ferrix, is it?
Sorry, the like Mina Rao?
Yeah, like the wheat farm and everything like that. That's not on the planet of Ferrix, is it?
No, it's called Mina Rao.
Yeah, Mina Rao, right. So, yeah, I remember just like I was speculating that this whole scene was happening on Ferrix, but it's clear that these characters are constantly moving. And, the undocumented stuff I thought was also, it's really cool how they're expanding like what the Empire is capable of and what they're trying to do. And I can imagine all of these prisoners that they're taking probably just go to facilities like, Narkina 5, is that the prison?
Yeah,
I feel like they're all going towards things like that.
Yeah. I think I'm thinking about the next episode. But did we got more of like the wedding plot in this episode, and the tension and the build up there. Who is Luthen's partner? The girl. I always forget her name. Anyways, there were
Keela?
Was it this episode that they made contact with Andor in the ship, or is that the next one?
Yeah, it's the next one, but Clea Markey.
Clea. Oh, right. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. All right. Cool. Well, this one kind of whizzed by because it was also the shorter one of the three. So yeah. Okay. Let's get into the next one.
This episode was the one where it was revealed that Tay, the contact funding a lot of Mon Mothma's thing wanted to pull out as well.
Oh yes.
Like wasn't that?
Yeah.
That was a pretty big moment.
I think his investments were attacked by rebels, right?
Well,
didn't he say that?
No, it was like so because of the rebel activity.
Like they just soured.
Yeah, because of the rebel activity, it was something about how his investments have tanked.
That's what it was.
Yeah, and so he is like doing work. He suspects that he's doing work for Mon Mothma to fund the rebel.
But he doesn't know.
No, he doesn't know. No, so because she calls it the what is it called? The foundation, or the
foundation.
Yeah, so she uses some sort of generic term, but I think he kind of suspects what she's up to, right? So
he thought it was everyone made out on the field except for me, it seems.
Yeah, so
he absolutely catches on.
Yeah, so I think he's caught on to it, right? And so that what he's saying is like, hey, listen, like what I'm helping you do here is tanking my entire business. Like what I do for a living. The reason what I'm able to do for you is kind of like being chopped down due to your activities, which is being funded by my work for you, right? So it's kind of this like weird cycle of like this isn't working kind of thing, right? So I think that's why he's a little choked. And
well, not just that, I got a subtext there that also everyone thinks that Mon Mothma and Tay are sleeping together, so that's why his wife left him.
Oh yeah,
So he
yeah.
really lost
Right.
everything because he's been trying to help her.
Yes, yeah. Oh, and I think while we're on that topic, actually, I should throw in a few of us have been reading the Reign of the Empire Mask of Fear novel, and there's a lot of extra context added into the marriage between Mon Mothma and Perrin, and it's worth noting, like, you know, their prearranged marriage, like they got married when they were like 15 or 14 or something like that. Was it, Darian?
Yeah, I think it was 13 or 14, the same as her daughter's getting married here.
Yeah, so it's like super young. Like they've gone through. The book makes an effort to kind of paint this picture that they've gone through seasons, you know, where they don't even talk to each other, and like some moments in their lives, like they're really really close friends, and then they're kind of on and off again. So when Perrin makes that little comment about Tay Kolma, it kind of comes off as like a bit of a cruel joke, you know. When he sort of cracks a joke at like her, you know, getting with Tay, right? It's because he and her, I think, have this kind of sort of open relationship in a way where.
Is that in the books? Or are you speculating?
I'm speculating on that part, but and I believe he has maybe taken partners before. Am I maybe interpreting that correctly, Darian?
No, I got a bit of that out of both the TV show and the book, is that they've never overtly said it, but the idea is don't ask, don't tell.
Yeah.
But the book has definitely changed my entire opinion on Perrin. Like, I thought he was a very jilted child lover sort of thing in the original season. But having read the book, it's like, no, this guy tried to play ball for a long time, and he was just kind of cut down all the time.
Yeah. Yeah, and he sort of plays the role that he's supposed to play in her life, you know, like he plays the role of this senator's husband, and he's there as a shoulder to lean on for her in certain social dynamics and certain social situations. So that's kind of his use, I guess, right? Like professionally, and but like. Marital wise, like they've never had like a normal close marriage, right? So I think like if anyone was confused by what kind of transpired there, like it's because it's not particularly like normal.
Because it's an arranged marriage and they're upper class, which makes everything more complicated.
Yeah,
politics.
Yeah, and on top of that, they have other complex things happening that are just kind of between them, and like they have this weird open thing, and like don't ask, don't tell, kind of like Darian said, right? So yeah, there's other stuff going on. So yeah, if anyone thought that was weird about like, oh, like why is her husband making a joke about Tay, you know, it's because that's probably a semi-normal thing for like him to go off and do. So it didn't look like it bothered him at all. But
I definitely felt like he was more likable this season than the first season.
Yeah. Was it the speech? Maybe
deeper character.
Was it the speech? Because he had a nice speech.
He just seemed more like
brutal, though.
Yeah,
that speech went against everything that Mon Mothma's trying to do in this series.
Right.
Like it seemed like he designed it to be like, oh, just do whatever and be happy and enjoy it because life's going to be shit. So strap yourself in and fill up your cup, whereas she's trying to do exactly the opposite. It's like, hey, this is going to make lives a lot more difficult, but it's in the end, it's going to make the galaxy a lot better.
I kind of perceived it as well with like this genuine, like he really cares about his daughter, right? Like there was definitely some of that in there too. So I thought that it, to me, like it kind of lifted up my perception of him as a character as well. I was like, oh, okay, you know, like he actually does, like, you know, it's not like he doesn't care about this wedding, right? Like he's actually like, oh, cool, like
invested, yeah.
Okay, did anyone have anything else?
It's 2 Easter eggs I spotted. Oh, you go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Darian. We'll end with Blake.
They start with that the Imperial officer corners I forgot her name. The lady with Brasso that came from Ferrex.
Oh, yeah.
She corners her, and he's kind of like trying to woo her and everything, but there's like a predatory sort of power dynamic there, and she's like kind of points at Brasso and like, "That's my husband. He's coming back," and like, you know, this is not okay, sort of thing. And he kind of ignores that until Brasso gets right there, and you can see how uncomfortable he gets.
Right.
It's like that was great foreshadowing for what happens in the next episode, and that the Empire truly abuses at every opportunity all the power they have at their ability.
Totally. Yeah. All right, Blake. Yeah, what was your thing?
Well, one of them I think I might have been wrong about, so I'll drop that one first. So I believe it's Luthen's, the girl he works with, who does all the management of signals and stuff. I thought she referenced being in contact with Biggs, but I guess it's probably Bix. Now that you mentioned that.
Yeah, Bix.
I'm like, oh, cool, Biggs. My bad. Anyway, the second one was when she's actually in Luthen's office, the camera goes really close to a Keldorian mask, which I thought was cool.
Oh, Plo Koon's mask, yeah.
Oh, yeah. Actually, okay, so while we're on that topic as well with like more Easter eggs in Luthen's shop, I think that was Padme's headpiece from...
it was.
Yeah, Attack of the Clones or something.
There's so much cool stuff in there.
Yeah, there's like so many things. Like,
that's
dang.
like, if I won the lottery, that's how I would picture my place.
You won't tell anyone, but there will be signs.
Yeah.
Right. You guys want to come over?
Oh man. Okay. All right. Let's move on to the final episode here. It's called Harvest. This was also directed by Ariel Kleeman, written by Tony Gilroy, released April 22nd. Cassian makes contact with Clea Markey and is able to ascertain the danger his friends are in on Mina Rao. Dedra and Cyril host Cyril's mother, Edie, for dinner, during which Edie repeatedly belittles Cyril, prompting Dedra to forcibly establish limitations on his mother. On Chandrila, Lita is married to Stekken Skalden, as arranged, and the ceremony is followed by a reception. As the Ferrix expats prepare to leave Mina Rao, Imperial officer Lieutenant Kroll attempts to rape Bix, but she kills him after a bloody altercation. As the conflict spirals further, Brasso is killed by a stormtrooper, but Cassian arrives in the TIE Avenger and kills the Imperial troops. Cassian, Bix, and Will flee on the TIE Avenger, having been unable to come up with a price to ensure Tay Kolma's silence. Luthen implies to Mon Mothma that he has decided to have him killed. Mothma sorrowfully drinks and dances while Vel watches Kolma get taken away by Cinta. So this was a really intense episode, and kind of nuts because, of course, okay, let's start with the Dedra Cyril stuff. I thought this whole story was like just kind of fun. You know what I mean? Like,
I thought it very stressful.
Dedra meeting Cyril's mom?
Until she kind of like put down the hammer. It was just so awkward and like uncomfortable.
Yeah. I liked it a lot though, because I'm like, okay, first off, this whole thing is like super awkward, right? But then like secondly, it's like this is like an Imperial officer like meeting like somebody's mom.
And she's just so demeaning to him.
She's such a horrible woman.
And he can't do a lot, and so he just looks just like so
pathetic.
Yeah, exactly.
When you weren't quite sure if whether Dedra really loved him or not until that moment when she just like dresses down her mother-in-law, like, or his mom, it's like, then you're like, okay, she's really into him and she's standing up for her man.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So true.
Well, I don't even know if...
No, it's just so awkward.
I don't even know if that's...
Say what, Shauna?
Oh no, I just think that they're watching their relationship is just so funny because it's just so awkward. But then like they're saying, like it does show that they actually do care for each other very, very much.
Yeah.
Oh, I loved it. This is my favorite part of the episode. I don't know why.
Yeah, what?
especially when Deirdre like puts her in her place. I'm just and I've seen so many memes where it's just like that photo of Cyril like lying in the bed. It's just like me waiting to watch Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
It's so good, and yeah, it just I think it really kind of it sums up like Cyril coming home throughout which is like ages ago now, after the whole Ferrex incident and all that, and yeah, I thought it was great. It was really I'm really keen to see where their story goes over the next few episodes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. What was that you were saying before, Darian?
I don't see that they actually do love each other, because, like, if you look at the apartment and everything is so cold, and they try and have this, like, perfect appearance, and they're still awkward even when it's just the two of them. Like, when he brings home the groceries and everything, they pause and look at each other like they haven't got into this yet. They haven't created anything for each other. I kind of saw that more as she was asserting her power over somebody that is a great tool in her life. It seems more like a marriage of convenience than a marriage of passion. Like, they both are getting things out of the marriage.
Yeah, I think it's more of a it's definitely more, it's an interesting relationship is the way to put it.
Yeah,
I think we'll see a bit more of that in their apartment later in the season for sure.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping. And apparently the bed scene thing with him just goofing around, like he was just like flopped himself down on the bed, and the camera guy thought it was funny, so that wasn't actually planned.
That's very funny.
Sometimes
awesome.
the best things are the ones that they just make up on the spot, right?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, no, it's good acting. I feel like Cyril's the kind of person, though, that he has been just completely, I don't know. I mean, like he's, just been
so uptight and high strung,
just been neutered by his mom, right? Like, just like his manhood has been like verbally stripped away from him his whole life, right? And I feel like, Dedra is just like, Dedra's the man, you know what I mean? Like Dedra's just like he
talks back to her like a child, but he also acts like he has no power.
Exactly. And Dedra has all the power in the world. She's the one that's normally like, okay, let's go, right? So like, she's the one that has to stand up for Cyril, and I just thought that was like just such a well-written sequence of events, yeah, I liked it a lot. I never thought I'd see that in Star Wars. You know what I mean?
Me either, for sure.
So I think I had a good time watching that.
I think there's a lot of firsts in this show that we're going to see that we haven't seen before in Star Wars. Not in terms of scenes, but just thematics, and
well,
I think we'll get to some certain things very shortly.
Oh man,
exactly.
Yeah, for sure. So we saw the wedding ceremony take place. That was very interesting, and followed by a very tense reception of Mon Mothma and all that kind of stuff. I do want to talk about the statue that what's it called? Who's his name? Skalden gifts Lita and his son, because there was a little verbal reference to the Rakatan. Is it Rakatan Empire from? We were just reading.
I think it's Rakatan.
Volume 1 of Dawn of the Jedi, like the earliest Star Wars legend stories that take place in that old timeline. And this was, they're a big part of that story, right?
Well,
so
they originally, that came out to help fill in the blanks, but they were created as, I guess, like the first empire that took over the entire galaxy. They weren't Sith, but they were very dark side.
Yeah, and they were like alien creatures. Yeah.
Like it was a point where everyone would have been very primitive, and they just came in and just took over everything.
Yeah. So
and they built a lot of what then grew into what we see now after they collapsed. But that came out of the bad guy that they needed for the historical figure in the KOTOR games.
Yeah, because they were the ones that built the Starforge, right?
That's right, yeah. And that's what they made to create everything they needed to take over the galaxy.
Yeah, so
I think they didn't build the Starforge. The creators built the Starforge. The engineers, sorry. But they had the Starforge for a long time.
Oh, interesting. So there's even another older civilization.
Yeah, they weren't the original like they were trying to get a hold of the space gates because they didn't have to travel through
on the Wikipedia page, though, it says it was constructed by the Rakatan Infinite Empire.
Oh, okay, I'm wrong. I'm sorry.
That's all right.
There was something to what you're talking about. That was early on in the comics.
But they're known as the Builders. The Rakata were also known as the Builders. So you're not wrong there. But
okay.
But they're the same.
Because I've read somewhere else that the Gree were part of the builders.
Gotcha. Yeah, no, it sounds like they're the same people. But I thought that was a cool little reference. It's like this is a thing that happened like a long time ago. And, it's one of however many there are. And it's like, so clearly this got some insane value, like this is a ancient.
Maybe very old, yeah.
Yeah. So it just gives you the impression of just how wealthy Skalden really is, right? Like, this dude is insanely rich. Yeah. Anyway, so that
means
was cool.
it was returned to their home planet like 100,000 years later.
Yeah, whatever it ends up being, like 25 or however. Yeah, I don't know how many it is. So it's a long time later.
It's pretty good shape.
Yeah, crazy, right? Okay, heavy stuff with Bix. Honestly, like it was, I was like, wow, another big first for Star Wars there. But it unfolded so well. Like just like I was on the edge of my seat the whole time. I was like, this is such great story. Like just like like putting this character through more trauma. A character who has just been dealing with all this trauma. Can't catch a break. I mean, like, man, like what, like it just keeps you on this high of like, oh my goodness, you know what I mean? Like it's just constantly like the next thing, and then Brasso dying.
Yeah,
and
say
then,
an hour later, her like best friend died.
Yeah. Like I just like I can't get like it just makes me really curious for like how her character is going to be in the next story arc a year later, right?
Probably more broken, maybe on death sticks. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. So I don't know. And she doesn't show up in Rogue One, and she seems to have a bit of a small romantic thing going on with Andor. So, like something's got to happen to her. But
how do you guys feel about having a scene?
I think.
Sorry, maybe you finish what you're saying before I jump to the next section here.
No, I think what I was going to say was leading off what you're saying there, Blake. Go for it.
I was going to say, I wonder how we're all feeling about just having something that dark in Star Wars, referring to the rape scene, or what could have become a rape scene. Yeah, exactly. Thank you. Because I feel like sex in itself isn't even really a thing in Star Wars.
We've kind of had it before. Like it's definitely pushing closer to it than we've had before, but look at Jabba with his slaves and everything. It's like you're not saying that that's sexualizing women in a certain way. Like there have been like very alluded to prostitution throughout Star Wars. I don't think this is that much a leap from
one.
Yeah,
right.
That's true. But I feel like it's been pretty like a PG take on it until this.
Like always suggestive, never like, oh, that almost happened.
Yeah, and even outwardly said like he was gonna rape me.
Right. Yeah. Like the word was used, like
I think people are more bothered by like the word being used itself rather than like just the fight that was going on beforehand. But I also think like the purpose of this is just to really like very early on in this season to set up the writers are setting up the idea that like this is not a kids show. Like this is the tone we're setting and this is what we're doing. That's at least how I'm interpreting it. That's the main reason they put that in there. But it's not. I also like the first season in Andor, like the opening scene. Like Cassian goes into a like what I think was a prostitution center or something. So it's not like. So it's not like it's the first time for this show either. Like they've definitely gone. They've definitely intended on that for a reason,
Yeah.
But it also wasn't.
Well, I was thinking more
outwardly said what it was. It was just like heavily implied.
Okay, but what I was thinking was more like Return of the Jedi when they capture Leia and they're literally shoving her onto Jabba as he's licking his lips and whatnot. Like they've come really, really close before.
Yeah, and they read so differently to me.
Yeah, to me that was like, I don't know. I've never read. I mean, it's disgusting, but like I've never read that much into that particular event because it's just less harsh. You know what I mean? Like this particular situation. I'm looking at an article from the Hollywood Reporter, And there's a fan account that they've quoted from somebody saying. So this is the quote. All right. Andor dared to go to the darkest places Star Wars could offer. An Imperial officer abusing his untouchable status to rape an undocumented migrant while his troops are rounding up other undocumented citizens. This is the real world seeping into Star Wars storytelling. This is the world we live in, reflected in the galaxy far, far away. This is Star Wars at its most political and most potent. It's most frightening, and I must commend the writing team's bravery to not shy away from such topics, to depict fascist regimes as they are, speak the word rape directly into the camera, show just how despicable fascists really are. Andor is as brilliant as it is terrifying. That was what it says here. And I was like, yeah, it's definitely on another level than like the Leia Jabba thing. Like it's like, you know, a couple levels above, you know, they've dialed that too.
Much more adult. Yeah.
Yeah. They've dialed it up for sure. So like it's, you know, it was just, yeah, it was
like, it felt like probably more in like Game of Thrones than it would in Star Wars, in my opinion.
Yeah, you know, and you know, I hate to say it, but like Game of Thrones probably would have gone the extra mile, like
probably.
Which you know, I feel like Star Wars being a hopeful story, like you don't want to see that happen, right? Like,
No,
and of course she's like the fighter and gets out of it, but it's like the scare that really kind of makes you think. It's like, oh,
yeah,
dang,
the implication of what could happen, like potentiality.
Yeah, yeah.
I think it just also shows how cruel the world is. And I think that's another thing that like the Andor series has been kind of trying to show us, even just in the last couple seasons.
Yeah,
or the last.
It's like you do have people out there that think, oh, the Empire was right. Like, you know, the Empire wasn't so bad. Like maybe, you know, they're just trying to bring control to the universe, but like they were just misunderstood. But this shows you like, nah, they were kind of bad, or at least some of them were bad.
Yeah.
I think the worst take I saw was someone going on like, this taints the view of the Empire. This makes them look bad. Like that's the point.
Not a planet destroying super weapon.
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about, Kirk. You can say his name.
No, I saw many of these opinions online. You know, one from a very popular reviewer, I guess you could call it. But like, yeah, I'm just like, there's a reason the Empire was in power for 25 years, and then the Republic before that was in power for like, you know, thousands of years. So, like, they're not supposed to be the good guys.
Yeah, for sure. And this is kind of broadening it a little bit, but I felt like just the take on blanking the name, but this like farming planet and seeing the Empire there.
Yeah, Minarao.
Minarao. I feel like this is the most Nazi-like we've ever seen the Empire.
Yeah,
because they're just there, just checking
definitely.
papers and just like abusing everything.
Yeah, and I heard
the scene where they're going around the transport reminds me of Inglourious Bastards, like at the start of the start of the movie. It really reminds me of that.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly what I felt like too.
Totally. And they dropped the word visa in this,
right?
And I was like, man, like I guess I've never really thought
that's the
about
thing in Star Wars.
That's the
At least
thing
in the games, you need like certain visas to like get to planets and stuff.
Oh, and like KOTOR?
Yeah, KOTOR 2 specifically.
Okay.
Yeah.
I like how they leaned into that a bit more because, like, you know, I feel like a lot of other Star Wars stories, you only hear like, okay, chain code, right? Like, and
right.
you never
That's for your
hear
ship
or documents. You never hear the word visa, right?
Right.
So, like, it just kind of made it feel a bit more relatable to, you know, just our world, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Papers, please.
Yeah. Let's see your visa.
Identification.
We had Brasso get killed by a stormtrooper of all people. What a way to go, because that was a long shot, dude. Like, that's impressive. Stormtrooper actually hit somebody.
He took a long time to aim, though.
Yeah. Sad, though, but it was again with this, like, wow, like right out of the gate, you know? Like, first arc of the season, boom, we lose Brasso. It's like,
yeah,
the Imperial Stormtroopers are so precise.
Yeah.
All because that one guy had to go visit his girlfriend.
Someone needs to
had he not left.
Yeah, I know, right? Such a weasel. Somebody has to supercut the Obi-Wan quote of, like, you know, only stormtroopers are so precise, and then just make all the awesome, like, you know, supercut all the awesome moments where stormtroopers hit stuff, right? Like,
I think I still prefer better if they do that and then supercut to them just missing everything.
The scout trooper scene from Mando.
Yeah, exactly.
So good. Very sorrowful ending with potential death for Tay Colm. I guess we'll see what happens with that. Or maybe we won't. Maybe the time jump is going to happen. He's just going to be dead, right? Like, it's kind of implied as to what would have happened next.
Yeah, you have to see. You have no idea.
Yeah.
I also, speaking of Brasso, I really like that scene where he before he dies, he gets captured and then he kind of like pretends like his buddy there like turned him in, so that way he was protecting his friend.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. 100%.
Yeah. I appreciated that too. I didn't get it the first watch. I actually stopped and rewound and watched that scene again because it just seemed so awkward. So I'm glad that you guys picked up on that too, because now I feel a little bit better about my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah, I saw some people like thought that he did betray them, but like, no, you see, like he kind of nods his head and he's like, "Oh, I understand what you're doing. Like, thank you," because he was sacrificing himself to save, his girlfriend, who is the owner of that store or worked in that store.
Yeah. 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 Even more sad. They set up a whole like relationship for Brasso and then killed him.
Yeah.
The woman probably doesn't even know that he's lying in that field.
Characters aren't making out this season.
Yeah. All right, cool. That's everything from this episode. Does anyone have anything else to bring up? And then we can pile the points of poodoos this thing.
We saw the range. I think they're called range troopers. The guys from Solo in the first episode, like the guy with the kind of the fur around his neck.
Oh yeah,
on that planet with the snow.
And the rocket launcher.
Yeah, on Sinar with the rocket launcher. Yeah. That was cool.
That was cool seeing those guys again.
Yeah. I like that design.
I got something.
I like the design, and it makes sense that it's on a snowy environment. Like it makes sense that they would have those guys there, right? Okay, let's.
I got a couple things there. Did you guys see the ATST puppet? I thought that was kind of fun. I like the harvest.
Yeah, that was cool.
Oh yes.
Yeah, I posted that actually in our little chat there that you can actually make it.
Oh, that's cool.
Oh, sweet.
Maybe we should have like
on StarWars.com they have the directions.
That's awesome.
Andor craft an ATST puppet. Yeah. Oh, that's neat. That's very cool.
How about when Mothma joins the dance at the wedding? Everybody's dancing clockwise and she starts dancing counterclockwise in the center. I thought that was a really clever, like, okay, I'll play along, but not in the way you want me to.
Yeah. And
that was a really cool scene.
Yeah, that was really, really like well done. And also she's just like, she's so mad and like upset about this whole situation with everything, right? That she just gets hammered and just starts like.
And StarWars.com posted they posted a 1 hour like compilation of the song and her dancing.
Are you serious?
Yeah, it goes for a whole hour and it's called
wow.
Let's see where it's called. It's called 1 Hour of Dancing Mon Mothma Andor Season 2.
And this is your song, Kirk. Like this is your favorite beat from Season 1 is the Niamos mix or whatever it's called, right?
Yeah, it's so good. It's the alternative title is 1 Hour of Mon Mothma having a mental breakdown.
I mean, she betrayed her childhood friend and she sold off her daughter. Like, it's time to dance.
Yeah.
I was just glad that the dance scene turned out as well as it did, because when I saw it in the trailer, I was so scared it was going to be like another Power of One, Power of Two situation.
No. Yeah,
and it actually this played well with the story. I actually liked the music. Like it was a cool scene.
Yeah, no, I agree. It played out really well.
Many Bothans died to bring us this sick beat.
All right, let's head to the. Oh yeah, go for it, Darian.
One of the things I thought was really interesting about the actual people getting married in this episode is the boy is the one who's actually being more responsible about the wedding. Like he has reservations about not knowing her and stuff. And Mon Mothma's daughter is the one that's having like the hissy fits and like sitting off in the corner sulking because he's not excited to get married and stuff. I thought that was an interesting take.
Yes.
As well, they also have some visual metaphors in there too.
Yeah.
I'm hoping that they're going to have more with his character because we haven't seen anything of him yet.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Oh, actually, sorry, I got to go back to another thing that reminded me of is when Mon Mothma went up to her daughter and was like, you don't have to go through with this. And then
yeah.
I was expecting the daughter to be like to turn as per usual, but she just said to him like, you should have been, I wish you were drinking or something. What did she say?
Yeah.
Mom said how her mom was drunk when she got married.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah, which I did not like. I wasn't expecting that.
No,
So like that was
No, she was
like
so
she's
snippy.
obviously fully manipulated or fully indoctrinated with this, which is interesting because like a couple scenes beforehand, like she was crying on the ground in the middle of the the hall where they had the reception venue, and Mon Mothma had to.
Well, that just gives you
comfort her.
It definitely gives you the idea of that relationship, right? Like she's clearly not got a healthy relationship with her kid. There's no respect there,
Do you think that she maybe went into this wedding to kind of spite her mother?
I think so. Like I think
That was kind of,
is that what you kind of thought as well?
yeah, they got more of that out of season 1 than season 2 so far, but I think so because even her father doesn't really seem to be into this other than playing his part.
Yeah.
It seems like she did this. There's a specific scene I can't put my finger right on where her daughter accuses her of being selfish, and the subtext to that was that's where she starts pushing for this wedding and everything. That's when the daughter starts spiting her mother and all these different situations.
Mm. Yeah, Shauna, you had anything to say on this one?
We've covered pretty much all of it. I think that all in all, it just kind of tied the 3 episodes together quite well.
Yeah,
in my opinion.
Alrighty, let's head over to.
I had 2 very small things.
Yep.
You keep trying to transition, we just drag it back. Need that.
Okay, I got your back. If you run out of them, I can do a couple.
Okay, sounds good. We'll go back and forth.
I'm gonna meet you all and transition it anyways. All right, let's go.
I thought it was neat that they kind of did like a Jedi Padawan braids, like through the marriage ceremony.
Yeah,
that was exactly what I was going to bring up.
Nice. Yeah. I thought that was a cool, almost a little.
You're talking about when her now husband cuts the hair,
the long braid. Yeah,
that was very
Well, not just that.
Right out of the knighting ceremony.
Season,
right. Sorry.
In last season, she had 2 long ones, and at the beginning of this season, I'm like, why is one of her braids cut? And then they show you the second one being cut, and it's like, oh, one of the braids got cut to show she was engaged.
Oh,
that makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense.
I missed the first one.
Well, I guess did they show the first one, or they just kind of implied it? I guess
they didn't show it. It's just implied.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. That was cool. I like that. That was neat.
Yeah. And the second thing that I wrote down just because I thought it was kind of neat. I aesthetically I liked it. This is pretty minor, but Chandrilla, their clothing style was just very reminded me so much of like Avatar: The Airbender.
Yeah,
like so much.
Yeah,
like all of their clothing.
I was thinking about that too, actually. Like is the more ceremonial things.
Yeah, they're like all the wedding garb.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was kind of more Japanese too.
Yeah, I'm sure it's very Japanese inspired. Both of them.
Yeah.
I do love the costuming. I think that the costumes are really cool.
Oh yeah,
agreed.
Yeah. Costumes are insane. I mean, like they've done such an excellent job with like the detailing on this show. It's remarkable. I know
everything except for Cyril's mother's costume. I thought looked pretty cheap. I was like, it's just slightly above a printed shirt.
Yeah, but I think her costume is meant to show that she's trying to feign wealth.
Okay,
and they did that on purpose because everything on her jewelry is gold, but it's all tarnished. She's wearing extremely vibrant colors, like her jacket's red, her dress is like this weird orange with ribbing in it and stuff, right? Everything in the apartment is white. Everything that the 2 of them are wearing is gray and black. And I thought that was a good metaphor for Cyril is in the middle. He's just trying to do what he thinks the law says. She's I forgot her name, the ISB officer. You normally see her all in white, but she's wearing the black, evil, actually the most masculine suit out of the three of them. And then the mom's wearing the passionate, emotional, vibrant stuff. And it really shows you who each one of the characters are just by their wardrobe.
That's so interesting. I never thought about that. I thought it was just a budget thing for the filming.
Well, everything with the mother shows that she doesn't have money, but she wants the world to think really well of her.
That makes sense.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay. Is that everything? Is that everything? All right.
I feel like if we're bringing anything else up, you're going to have an aneurysm, so I'm good.
You're just going to cut it out.
All right, cool. Okay, sadly we did lose Kirk because we kind of ran out of time with him, but
Did he at least give you his rating?
yeah, he did. Yeah, he typed it down for me. So okay,
cool.
Let's transition over to Paulo Points and Poodoos.
Jabba ruled with fear. He also did not listen to Star Wars Escape Pod. If you know what's good for you, tune in, subscribe, share this show with a partner in crime, leave a good review.
All right, here we go. Paulo Points and Poodoos.
Man, this bar is happening. Some guy's talking about a podcast over there.
Crazy, right? Yeah. Wait a minute. Is that Boba?
No, I think it's Django. They're closely related.
It's Mr. Bob 8 Feet.
That's right.
Yeah. All right. So let's start with you, Kirk. Oh, wait. Okay. So Kirk said, if I miss the ratings, I give these a 2 and a 2.5 Pablos. Okay. So that's
explain the ratings.
Yeah. Let's explain the ratings. So, all right, Kirk, what are you doing, man? Jumping ahead. Our Pablo Points Poodoos system is on a scale of 7. 3 Pablo Poodoos is the worst of the worst. 2 Pablo Poodoos is bad. 1 Pablo Poodoo is definitely not great. A Bendu is like a 50% score. That's like not good, not great kind of thing.
It's the one in the middle.
It's one in the middle. 1 Pablo point is good. 2 Pablo points is great. 3 Pablo points is the best of the best, and we have the 0.5s between all those values. So, so let's start with you, Kirk. He gave a 2 and a 2 and a 2.5, which is
so funny because we just talked about doing it as one arc.
Yeah. So I'm actually gonna say, okay, I'm gonna estimate that he's just gonna give this whole first arc 2.5 Pablo points. Yeah. That's just what we're gonna roll with that, which gets copy pasted to all the episodes here. But yeah, Shauna, we'll move on to you. What would you give this a story arc as a whole?
The whole thing?
Yeah.
I think I'm going with a 2.
2. Okay. 2 Pablo points it is. That's good. Darian, what about you?
I'm also going to go with the 2. I deliberated this. And there's just the subtext in these episodes were so great. Like even down to how at dinner the mother spills all over the place and like garbles a napkin and everything, disrespecting their space when she was so neat about hers. They did phenomenal with that.
Oh yeah, for sure. Dan,
I give this a very solid 2. I love Andor. Like it's a very strong start to the second season, and yeah, really enjoying it.
All right,
can't wait to see more.
Awesome. And Blake, sir.
It's not very interesting. I feel like I'm probably going to go with the 2 as well. I just don't feel quite. It's true. I just don't feel quite comfortable enough to give it 2.5 because it's just there's a few things that I think pulled it down for me a little bit. Maybe it was a little bit too dark for my Star Wars in some scenes.
Blake, can I push you a little bit?
Sure, go for it.
Okay, what about the scene where Luthen is talking to Mon Mothma about offing Tay?
Mm-hmm.
Think about that. How great was that? Where he's like, we have to kill him because you know that he's always going to come back for more money. And she's like, I don't know what you're talking about. He called her out in a subtle way by being like, "Oh, how nice for you." The subtext of, we both know what we're talking about, but you don't want to admit it, and I'm going to hold you to it. But you can play your innocence for now.
Nope, that's very true. A lot of these scenes, I feel like I'm so used to Star Wars being a little more obvious. I have to watch them like twice before I figure out
they're
what's
complex.
going on.
Yeah. I think so. So for my score, I think I'm gonna go with 2.5 as well. Just the same as Kirk here, because for me, I think I was leaning on 2 as well, and then I thought, there's so much complexity to like what's happening here. And I think that gives it the extra 0.5 for me.
That's fair, because like the fact that I need to watch it more than once to get the full context maybe is a good thing as far as like the depth of quality and effort they put into the show.
And that's what like we've praised about some of George's stories with Star Wars too. Is like, oh, there's so much depth here, and like with Clone Wars it adds even further like meaning.
There's one difference though, and that difference is when George did it, even if you didn't get the deeper context, the story still made very cohesive sense for like a child's perspective. Whereas this, I feel like you're missing what's going on if you don't get it.
Yeah, I guess so. I don't know. I really enjoyed the darker themes and the writing is very impressive, and I do plan on. I only got around to watching all of these episodes once, but I do plan on watching them all again. And
did you watch them with subtitles and stuff?
I usually do. I usually end up for the second go around, I'll put on subtitles as well as what's it called? It's like for the deaf and hard of hearing, or sorry, for the not that one. Yeah, sorry. It's like for people who listen.
Describe visual.
Yes. It's like audio description basically. So like between the scenes, like you'll have like an automatic kind of voice that comes over and describes the scene and describes the characters. And sometimes
video.
Yeah. And sometimes it has been very, very handy for pointing out Easter eggs that sometimes were less obvious.
That might be really good for this show.
And so like I'm definitely planning on doing that again. I've done that with a lot of other shows. I don't think I did it with a few episodes of Skeleton Crew, but not the whole show. But I do plan on doing all my second go arounds with that as well on top of the caps.
Now you're watching almost 6 hours with the shows in a week.
Yeah, I know, right? Yeah, that's the thing is like, that's why I only plan on doing it like maybe another time, but because there's 3, right?
That's
like,
why,
it's
that's
so
my
much
issue
more.
too. Because I'd like to watch them all twice.
Yeah.
Instead, I just had to rewatch the scenes that I wasn't quite sure about.
Yeah. I think I'll try and do that second go around before we chat about these things, but I do plan on doing it regardless. I think like at some point, but yeah. Anyways, okay, that sums up our part 1 of 4, I guess, for season 2 of Andor. So we're gonna hit the outro here. I just got one question for all of you guys that remain. What is a piece of speculation that you have, or maybe something you've seen in the trailer, something somebody said at Celebration, something that you're kind of antsy to see, or something for season 2? Maybe we can start with you, Darian.
I'm curious to see how Brazzo's death is going to affect Andor. Like, I think it's going to ruin his girlfriend, but Brazzo was the big brother nurturer type, and the enforcer. He's the guy that stood up for what was right, whereas Cassian Andor does a lot of dark stuff because he knows that the ends will justify the means. So that's going to be interesting for me.
Yeah. All right, Dan, what about you?
I'm excited to see K2SO show up. As a big fan of Alan Tudyk, like I'm happy to see more of that character.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure it's probably won't be until like the episode's right before they lead up to Rogue One, but
yeah,
looking forward to it.
Yeah, and for anyone who wants to read that story in the Marvel comics, there is a one-shot out there that does tell that story. So I'm very curious to see if they'll adapt it or just completely retcon it.
I just hope they don't just skip over it,
or they just skip over it, and that would be nice too. Because then it's like, okay,
I don't think that'd be nice. I don't want them to do that.
All right. Yeah, Blake, what do you? What's your response to that?
I agree with Dan. Definitely, I'm very excited for some K2 to be back in action. I'm also blanking the guy's name, but the guy who's kind of in the head charge of putting all the rebel stuff behind the scenes right now. Luthen. I'm really excited to see his story and know more about his character.
Yeah. All right. Well, I'm very stoked to see Krennic back. That's a big one. I know there was some mention at Celebration for recasting a certain main character. Main speculation goes to Bail Organa, sadly, but I guess we can get into that in the following weeks. I don't know. I am looking forward to seeing K2SO back. I'm very curious as to, how they'll do that. But anyways, we'll catch you all in the next one. Thank you guys for joining us here.
We'll see you out there. Keep flying.
All right. Thank you so much to our audience for tuning in. Like, subscribe, share the show, do all that stuff. Check out Star Wars Launchpad, our AI-based podcast, which is an experiment floating around on Spotify and everywhere else. May the Force be with you. We'll see you in the next one.